The August 10th episode, you might have walked away thinking it was just another day of standard daytime drama, but something isn't adding up anymore. The writers are currently playing a brilliant, high-stakes game of misdirection with the audience. We are supposed to look at the obvious conflicts, the loud arguments, and the blatant threats happening in the foreground. But if you look closely at the background details, the subtle glances, and the unspoken decisions, a terrifying picture begins to emerge. We are being distracted by the surface-level chaos, while a massive, explosive secret is quietly ticking away right in front of our eyes, waiting to detonate and destroy multiple lives. Let us talk about the clue that cracked this whole theory wide open for me. I am looking directly at Michael and his bizarre, almost unnatural lack of action regarding Jacinda. We have all seen Jacinda acting incredibly shady recently, making highly suspicious moves and hovering around places she absolutely should not be. The obvious narrative wants us to believe that she is successfully flying under the radar, pulling the wool over everyone's eyes like a master manipulator. But we know Michael. He grew up in a dangerous world of mobsters, spies, and ruthless corporate sharks. He knows exactly how to spot a threat from a mile away. So why is he suddenly acting completely oblivious to a woman who is practically radiating danger? If you ask me, Michael is not blind or ignorant at all. He is actively playing a highly dangerous, incredibly risky game of chess. He sees exactly what Jacinda is doing, but instead of shutting her down immediately and protecting his territory, he is letting her proceed with her dark agenda. Why would he do that? Because Jacinda is just a pawn on the board. Michael is secretly setting a massive trap, leaving the bait out in the open to see exactly who is actually pulling her strings. He wants to expose her mysterious backer, the real mastermind hiding in the shadows of the town. He is deliberately allowing a lethal threat to operate within his inner circle, confident that he can control the outcome and snap the trap shut at the perfect, most devastating moment. That is where things become interesting and incredibly terrifying for everyone involved. Michael's arrogant hubris might be his ultimate downfall. He thinks he has the situation completely handled and monitored, but what happens when you play with poison? Literally and figuratively. We know there is a deadly plot in motion, likely involving a poison cup of coffee intended to eliminate Willow once and for all. Michael probably assumes he can intercept the danger before it ever reaches Willow. He is waiting for the absolute last second to catch Jacinda red-handed with the evidence. But in a volatile town like this, plans never go exactly as intended, and innocent bystanders always get caught in the brutal crossfire of these power struggles. Let us connect the dots here and look at the bigger picture. If Michael's trap is delayed by even a fraction of a second, or if his attention is diverted, the intended target might not be the one who ultimately suffers. Enter Nina. We all know Nina has a tragic, heartbreaking habit of being in the wrong place at the absolute worst possible time, especially when it comes to the orbit of Willow. What if Nina, completely unaware of the deadly, invisible game Michael and Jacinda are playing, simply walks into the room and picks up the wrong cup of coffee? It may not be a coincidence that Nina has been hovering so closely to Willow recently. The narrative has perfectly positioned her to become the accidental, tragic victim of a plot she has absolutely nothing to do with. This could explain a lot about the upcoming devastating fallout that is bound to hit the family. Imagine the sheer horror of the scene playing out. Nina collapsing to the floor, desperately fighting for her life after ingesting a lethal toxin meant for her own daughter. The absolute irony and tragedy of Nina unknowingly taking a fatal hit for Willow would shake the entire town to its absolute core. But the aftermath for Michael would be infinitely worse. Because he knew about the impending threat and deliberately allowed it to happen just to catch a bigger fish, he will look entirely complicit in the crime. When the police finally arrive at the chaotic scene, Michael and Jacinda could both find themselves in cold handcuffs, suspected of orchestrating the brutal poisoning together. Michael's brilliant mastermind trap could end up destroying his own freedom and putting Nina in an irreversible coma. But wait, guys, because there may be more to this story than just a botched poisoning. The chaos surrounding Michael and the lethal coffee is just one piece of a much larger, darker puzzle. Let us pivot to another highly suspicious moment that has my mind racing with terrifying possibilities. I am talking about the sudden, intense, and heavily guarded meeting between Jocelyn and Hudson. Hudson just arrived in town, shrouded in complete mystery, supposedly looking for someone specific and conducting legitimate business. The show desperately wants us to think his encounter with Jocelyn was just a random, meaningless bump in the road. But did you see the way they looked at each other? The unspoken electric tension vibrating between them? It may not be a coincidence that these two crossed paths so quickly upon his arrival. Something feels off about their entire interaction, right down to their defensive body language. Jocelyn has been deeply entrenched in the dark, dangerous world of the intelligence agency lately. She made highly illegal secret deals, covered up brutal murders, and secured controversial pardons for incredibly dangerous men. Hudson carries himself exactly like someone who knows how to navigate that same dark, violent underworld. I do not believe for a single second that they are strangers meeting for the first time. I strongly believe that Jocelyn and Hudson know each other from the past, or at the very least, they recognize each other from a highly classified, heavily redacted file. They are both hiding a massive, explosive secret, pretending to be strangers to protect themselves from the deadly fallout of recent events. The bigger question is, what exactly are they hiding from the rest of the world? My massive theory is that Hudson is not just a random wealthy businessman looking for an investment. He is a professional cleaner or a lethal operative tied directly to the messy, bloody aftermath of the island chaos. Jocelyn arrogantly thought she neatly tied up all the loose ends by pinning the blame on a dead man, but Hudson's sudden arrival proves that the violent past is never truly buried. Their secret, tense conversation is a massive red flag indicating that Hudson is about to step right into the center of a much larger, far more sinister conspiracy. Jocelyn might suddenly realize that her arrogant secret deals have brought a terrifying, unstoppable new predator right to her front door. And speaking of dangerous buried secrets, we absolutely have to talk about the impending heavy conversation between Jordan and Anna. We know Jordan has been holding onto some incredibly heavy, burdensome information regarding the dark time she spent dealing with Jen. Jordan is finally ready to spill everything she knows, hoping to finally close the book on that terrifying nightmare and clear her conscience. She is laying out all the puzzle pieces of a massive criminal operation. But if you watch Anna closely during these moments, her brilliant mind is clearly somewhere else entirely. Jordan could be handing her the master keys to a massive international criminal empire, and Anna would barely blink in response. Why is she so distracted? Because Anna is entirely consumed by a completely different, far more personal phantom. Anna's true, unwavering focus is locked entirely on Cassius. The entire town blindly believes the neat, tidy narrative that has been spun by the agencies, but Anna's seasoned instincts are screaming that something is terribly, fundamentally wrong. She knows that Cassius is an absolute master of deception, a ruthless man who literally stole his own brother's life and effortlessly fooled the people who loved him most for months. Even though the official story claims one thing, Anna is starting to piece together the terrifying hidden reality. She is beginning to suspect that Cassius never actually severed his deep, insidious ties with his old, corrupt organization. He is still playing both sides of the board, and Anna is fiercely determined to rip off his mask before he strikes again. If Anna's dark suspicions are correct, it means a highly trained, deeply compromised operative is currently operating in the shadows of the town, answering to a puppet master nobody can see. Cassius is a walking, ticking time bomb, and Anna knows she is the only one who can hear the silent countdown. While Jordan is entirely focused on burying the ghosts of Jens's destroyed operation, Anna is actively hunting a monster who is very much alive and actively manipulating the board from behind the scenes. The tension between what Jordan is revealing and what Anna is actually investigating is going to create a massive, dangerous blind spot, one that Cassius will undoubtedly exploit to further his own dark, destructive agenda. Meanwhile, while the spies and mobsters play their deadly games, the legal drama in town is about to explode in a way absolutely nobody sees coming. We have Isaiah relentlessly pushing for Curtis to face the absolute maximum penalty of the law for his actions. Isaiah is angry, deeply vindictive, and fiercely determined to see Curtis locked away in a cold cell for a very long time. On the exact opposite side, we have Martin frantically scrambling to put together a solid, impenetrable defense, desperately trying to keep his client out of a prison jumpsuit. The stage is perfectly set for a straightforward, highly emotional, and bitter courtroom battle. But in this town, nothing is ever straightforward, and justice is always a moving target. I am predicting a massive, earth-shattering twist during the upcoming trial that will leave everyone breathless. Just when Isaiah smugly thinks he has completely won, and just when Martin tragically thinks all hope is entirely lost, a brand new, previously undiscovered piece of evidence is going to be dropped right into the middle of the tense courtroom. This evidence will be so explosive, so entirely contradictory to the established narrative, that it will flip every single prior testimony completely upside down in an instant. Martin's entire carefully crafted strategy will have to change in the blink of an eye, and Isaiah's guaranteed, satisfying victory will turn into absolute dust. This single piece of evidence will change the entire trajectory of the trial, leaving the judge, the jury, and the families completely stunned. Finally, we absolutely have to look at the ultimate wild card in all of this unfolding chaos, Ava. Ava is never just an innocent bystander watching the world burn. She is always calculating her next 10 moves while everyone else is playing checkers. Right now, she appears to be isolated, vulnerable, and simply looking for a new, reliable ally to protect her interests. But that is exactly what she wants her many enemies to think. Ava is not looking for a friend to lean on. She is quietly, methodically building an absolute powerhouse of a dark alliance. She is surrounded by vicious enemies on all sides, and she knows that playing defense will only get her killed. So she is going on the aggressive offensive, gathering lethal weapons and ruthless allies to launch a coordinated, devastating strike against everyone who has ever wronged her. And who is the absolute most dangerous weapon she could possibly acquire for her crusade? Drew. Drew has been pushed to the absolute edge of his sanity, cruelly manipulated, mercilessly blackmailed, and nearly killed by the people he trusted. He is incredibly angry, deeply bitter, and he is desperately looking for a way to take back his stolen power and exact his own revenge. If Drew actually shakes hands with Ava and agrees to join her dark, vengeful crusade, we are looking at the birth of the most lethal, unstoppable combination this town has seen in years. Ava's ruthless, calculating cunning combined seamlessly with Drew's vast resources and burning desire for vengeance would make them an absolute nightmare for anyone standing in their destructive path. That is where things become interesting and incredibly deadly. We may be looking at the beginning of something huge, guys. The seemingly simple events of this single episode are not just isolated random incidents. They are the solid, deliberate foundation for a massive, town-wide explosion of buried secrets, brutal betrayals, and rapidly shifting alliances. Someone may not be ready for what is coming next, and they are about to lose everything they hold dear. The truth could be closer than anyone realizes, hiding just beneath the surface of a poisoned coffee cup or a secret courtroom document. Keep your eyes peeled and your theories ready, because the truth is about to tear this town apart, and we are going to be right here to analyze every single shocking second of it.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.